So a pretty short video here because this is the shortest RFC I've ever seen. It is only one page here. So it's RFC 226. And rather than doing what I usually do, copy and paste this and bring it over, I just created another document to kind of walk you through what this RFC is doing, sort of the need for it, and then you could check it off your list of RFCs you've reviewed yourself by watching my video reviews here. So to start, you should know computers need names too. They should be viewed as cattle, not pets, because you need to be comfortable when you have to slaughter them. That is especially true if you're a domain administrator or system administrator. And I also think this is true even if you are comfortable with slaughtering your own pets. But like humans, computers need unique numbers. So this is kind of like a social security number. That way they can be a functional part of a network, also like humans. The number is called an IP and the name is called a host name. Now if the host is on the internet and has a public IP, this name is better known as the FQDN. That is a fully qualified domain name. And a good way to think of that is because it's been qualified by an organization that everyone seems to agree with has the authority to do so. So you can see that in the picture below here. Once your domain name has been qualified, the DNS databases around the world will get updated, and that can be typed into the bar of your favorite browser. So this RFC that we're looking at, 226, is called the Standardization of Host Mnemonics. And it's simply listing the table associated with the host numbers that I was just talking about. It's listing those host numbers. You'll know them as IP numbers with their corresponding host names for the first internet computers. And that table that lists the numbers next to the names, this table was kept in a file called host.txt. And that was stored on every computer that wished to be a part of the network back then. Back then, that was their internet. So to get a connection to another computer, you needed to be in that list. So let's jump over here and look at the table. There's not much to read up here, but here it says to register any objections. You need to do so by the 3rd of October to P. Karp, that is Peggy Karp of Meter. She's the one who wrote this in 1971. So that's the 20th of September when it was published. So you got a month to register those objections. And you can call area code 703-893-3500. There are 2 extensions here to reach her. But the official policy and implementation will start here on the 8th of October. So here's the host number and here's the host name on the right hand side. You'll see a lot of familiar names. UCLA, Utah, Rand, Harvard, Stan is on here. Just kidding, Stanford. Oh, they had Airbnb, or whatever BNB is. MITRE, and so on. So that's the RFC, really small. To make the video a little bit longer though, let me talk a little bit more about the fully qualified domain name. This is a little bit more like a first and middle, maybe last name of a person. The fully qualified domain name is just so much more specific than we saw in that list where there was Stan for Stanford. Your host name now needs to be a part of this long FQDN. And I like to think of that as backwards folders. So if you start to the far right, you'll see something like .com. And then, of course, that's still a domain because a domain is a place where somebody has authority. So starting like in that folder, you can click into a domain and then you can get into a particular host from there. So there you go. The dots are actually like folder separators. At least in my mind, that's how I'm seeing it. And a fun fact, the people who control org recently made this a for-profit domain. It used to be a non-profit. But maybe the best way to show this is to go to some of the URLs I have open here. So here is another RFC I'm going to be doing a video on. And you see the domain is in a .com. The Google part still has one or more IPs associated to it. So once you go to the google.com domain, going to the host name called docs, that's the computer that all these files that I'm accessing are. Or I should say that's where this file, this crazy jumble of words and numbers, that file is located in a folder called D, which is in a folder called document on a host called docs. And that, by the way, is the difference between this URL and a URI. A URL is a type of URI, But when we go to a terminal like this, you'll see that this is a particular URI. It's a location of a resource. That's why this URL is also a location of a particular resource. If we go to my DuckDuckGo search, you'll see that there is no host name and then a dot and then the domain name. It's just duckduckgo.com. But as long as there's an IP associated with this part, that's a domain that is also a host. This is a good example. You can see the host name is Linux and it's in the die.net domain. And maybe one more example if you wanted to pause and look at that yourself. But that's it for maybe the world's shortest RFC. I didn't see any shorter than this.